As a passenger, these things are so frustrating when you know that there have been mass cancellations during the holidays. There's been other issues. As Chris mentioned there, President Biden has directed the Department of Transportation to conduct a full investigation into the cause of this, and there's certainly been more pressure on Secretary Buttigieg to provide answers.
Certainly. And that other question that we heard Chris refer to about the possibility of a cyber attack, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre tweeted that the president has been briefed and that the FAA will provide some regular updates, but that there is, in fact, no evidence, as we heard from Chris, of any cyber attacks.
We don't know what the cause of it is. They expect that in a couple hours they'll have a good sense of what caused it, and we'll respond at that time.
Well, joining us now is CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes. Nancy, what else do we know about the White House's response to this FAA system failure? And we heard from Chris that the investigation is underway. Some positive news that they don't think that it was a cyber attack. But when might we actually learn what was at the root cause?
Great question. We were told that the president was informed about this situation this morning. He, in turn, told us, reporters who were gathered on the White House South Lawn this morning, that he had asked the Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, to keep him up to speed on the investigation, on what was going on. And we anticipate that when those answers are available, they will be coming from the FAA and the Department of Transportation and not from the White House. White House really appears to want to allow the flow of information to come from those central agencies as this situation develops.
And shifting gears now, Nancy, because there is some other incoming for the White House today. Former Vice President Mike Pence criticizing this Department of Justice and its handling of the document controversies now surrounding former President Trump and now President Biden. The former vice president spoke with our Robert Costa yesterday about how this response was different. Let's just quickly, for our viewers, listen to what he had to say.
To have the FBI execute a search warrant at the home of a former president of the United States, I thought was a gross overreach. But now to see classified documents found as having been in the possession of the president who was a former vice president and being treated differently, the kind of double standard that we see being practiced by the Biden administration in the wake of this incident in the Justice Department.
Nancy, when we spoke yesterday, we knew there would be incoming from Republicans as far as criticism. How is the president responding to this new critique?
Well, so far, the president and the White House more generally have not really addressed the criticism. We heard the president address the situation for the first time in Mexico yesterday, reading partially from prepared remarks. He kind of walked reporters through exactly what happened from his point of view, but he didn't take any additional questions about it. And White House officials really haven't expounded either, besides providing some basic information from the White House counsel's office. So today, when White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre takes to the podium, this will really be the first time that White House officials are going to have to answer some of these questions in public. And so we'll see what she has to say. I'm sure she's going to be asked about the criticism that has been leveled by Republicans that somehow President Biden is being treated differently than former President Trump. And there will also be a lot of questions that she'll be asked having to do with how this situation unfolded. Exactly when was President Biden informed that there were classified documents found in his office at the Penn Biden Center? Do they know any more about what kind of documents these were? Why didn't the president's lawyers, when they discovered these documents, inform either the FBI or the National Archives directly? Why did they come first to the White House and inform the White House counsel's office? And for that matter, why were the president's lawyers in charge of packing up this office in the first place? That isn't typically a job that you turn to lawyers to do. So what exactly was going on? So, there's still a lot of unanswered questions here, and we'll see how forthcoming the White House is today when it comes to responding to those questions.
Really, really interesting set of questions. It's also interesting that the president said that he didn't know what was in those documents and has been advised by his lawyers not to ask that question. All right, Nancy, appreciate it.
You got it.